again, getting ready to speak with you today, I had not, full transparency, I had not heard the term ambiguous grief. So when I first saw it, I was trying to think, well, what could that possibly be? And so I went to your LinkedIn profile. I went to your Rise Up Rooted site. I went to Google it. And there is a lot of ambiguity, for, no pun intended, around it. But as I was reading through your, I think you called it like a loose description, I remember seeing someone who's lost people to addiction, but not necessarily passed away, someone that's just in addiction. Right. Or someone who's, in your instance, a loss of a marriage that ended up not being what you thought and you couldn't figure it out. And I feel like there's so many real world examples that I can't believe it's only 60%. I would feel like it has to be 100% of people have experienced this. And obviously on different levels, but, and not in the same way. But even, growing up, I think about who my best friend was from first, second grade all the way to high school. And then they changed. And it took me years to come to terms with the fact that we were never going to be best friends again. Right. And that's grow out of it. And we're Facebook friends now. It's all good. But it's funny because at the time, that was a weird thing. And I would see him with new friends. I would see him at school. I'd see him at church, all this stuff. And it was just, and so it got me thinking about that. And that's I think people have all had those experiences and it's just different levels. So how do you find, what are the symptoms? Is symptoms the right word? I'm trying to figure out
Yeah, I think I know where you're going. So you're right. And 60% is conservative. That was a conservative number, so the clinician I worked with, Dr. Sophia Caudle, we put together a survey and had nearly 500 people respond, had it open for, I think, 2 weeks, and asking people about this experience. Have they grieved the loved one, the loss of a loved one who is still living, but not as they once were, right? Or grieving a loss of a relationship. And then why, what happened? Right. And what we found was, I think what you're getting at here, which again is just super intuitive of you, is that what we called activating events. So something happens, right? So in your case, what you just described to me is estrangement. All of a sudden, and I've learned this, is that, the term familial estrangement is in our vernacular. We know that family members become estranged for a variety of reasons, but there's also friendship estrangement. And oh my word, I feel your heart as you talk about that. And all of a sudden, you're 12 again. And in your 12-year-old life, that is, for any 12-year-old, that is a significant loss. And yet, even myself as a parent, as a mother who's observant, trying to help my children, guide them through. When they were 12, I didn't have the language or the understanding of friendship estrangement to help them move through that and be proactive in ways that they could honor that friendship and let it be what it is, even though it's not what it was, right? And what we found in this survey is that people were coming back, the 4 big categories, the biggest activating events we discovered were divorce, dementia, any kind of dementia, Alzheimer's, cognitive decline, addiction, and wow on that. It was huge. Diagnosis, mental illness, when you're, and of course you think about the opioid crisis our country's experienced and all of these parents who, and siblings, we always forget the siblings, it seems, but the people in households who watch their loved one become addicted to a substance, and that changes who they are, and the families have to adjust and change the dynamic of the household. And so these parents are grieving, the siblings are grieving, their friends are grieving, the person who is now on the streets and addicted, and they have no idea where they are. I mean, that's an extreme case, but those are cases of people I've spoken to.
I have a friend that I've been friends with since I was 18 years old, and experienced times when her brother would disappear for months at a time, and
Yeah.
they were like, "We're just waiting for the call to hear he's gone." He's back now, and they're he's older now. He's back, but they were just. I remember they were just like, "Yeah, we haven't heard from him in 6 months.
Right.
Like, we don't know if he's dead."
And it's such an ambiguous grief to experience because you don't know how you are supposed to be
Right.
grieving that, right? And what I found in my research, and then what I've really gone on to dive deeper into, is this prickly little experience that kept coming up, this feeling that kept coming up, and I could see it in the other grievers I had met out in Arizona. I could see it in the conversations I was having with people reaching out to me, and I couldn't quite name it until I had it. And it's if we look at the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross stages of grief, which were never meant to be linear,
Right.
and all
They
inclusive.
happen, and
Yes, they
yeah,
come
you
and
go
go.
back and
Right.
forth. I'm in
But
anger, now I'm in sadness, now I'm
yes,
back in anger
it's
again. Yeah.
anger,
I
bargaining,
still haven't accepted it
denial.
yet.
Exactly. Anger, bargaining, denial, depression,
Yeah.
acceptance, and then now um, David Kessler has added meaning. And I'm like, yes, I'm going through all of these. I can see that they're going through all of these, and just this back and forth. But what is this other thing we're having? And I ultimately discovered it was hope. When your loved one dies and you deliver that eulogy, or you're the pallbearer, and you know, they're gone, you are not visited with ideas of hope. You are not
Right.
hoping, as the family you just described in your childhood, that their child is going to ring the doorbell one day, that they're going
Yeah.
to. You're not hoping, like they are, that he's going to go into recovery and be okay, or
Yeah.
as an Alzheimer's patient family might say, oh, I hope there's a cure, I'm holding out for a cure. Or
Yeah.
that my in an estrangement, and whatever way is causing, whatever activating event has triggered your ambiguous grief, hope
Right.
presents, because there's still hope. And hope is a wonderful thing. We as humanity need hope. In Catholicism, hope is a virtue. And I'm not saying anything bad about hope,
Right.
because I have learned there are a lot of hope defenders out there, as there should be. Hope is a beautiful thing.
Right.
However, with an asterisk, when it is misdirected, I believe hope is as dangerous as it is good.
It's very dangerous.